I'm Katie, the Education Director here at Carolina Tiger Rescue.
And I am Larissa, or LA, and I'm one of the animal keepers at Carolina Tiger Rescue.
And this morning we're going to feed some of our animals, and they are already excited. We've got Roman and Reina here who know what's up. And they said, oh, it's early. We're so excited to eat so early. So during this live feed, we're going to feed a few of our animals. If we took you around to feed the entire sanctuary, that would be several hours, and eventually, shockingly, you would get bored. So we're going to see a couple different species that we haven't seen so far. We're going to see our 2 lions here, and then we're going to go next door and see Anthony, our leopard, and then we're going to check on 3 of our servals from our British Columbia rescue that we had back in November, and see how they're doing and see how they get fed, because they're small cats, so it's just a touch different. Of course, as always, LA is going to wear gloves because this is raw meat, and we want to make sure that we stay safe here as we are feeding. And what she's got in the bucket here is chicken. So we feed a whole carcass diet. And LA, why is it so important that they eat a whole carcass diet?
Well, a whole carcass diet is more similar to what they would be eating if they were in the wild. And so crunching through the bone helps to keep their jaw muscles healthy, it helps to keep their teeth healthy, and overall just a better diet than feeding them some sort of like pelleted diet that's similar to like a dog food maybe.
Excellent. So before we get started, we're going to make them wait just a little longer. I want to show you what they've got in their mouth. So this is a replica of a lion skull. And I did pick up the lion one because I knew we were going to hang with lions today. Very similar to the tiger skull. And what you're going to see are essentially 3 sets of teeth. And there's an activity that's going to go up on our website shortly after this is done, so that you guys can label the teeth and tell us what they're there for. And then there's a fun activity to go with it afterwards. So 3 sets of teeth. They have their incisors here in the front. You can kind of think of those as our front teeth. Those incisors are going to be there to help pick up stuff, but also maybe help tear away the fur from their prey. Then you have these big teeth, they're canine teeth. And those canine teeth are there to help grab the prey. Typically these guys are going to grab prey from around the neck, and so those are going to sink into the flesh. And then what makes cats carnivores are these awesome carnassial teeth. So these carnassial teeth are a little different than our teeth. One, they're much pointier. Can you imagine biting your tongue with these teeth? I think that would be dangerous. But they also act like scissors. So instead of grinding their food like we do, when we chew up our food, we make it into smaller pieces to then swallow. What they do is they act like scissors. So they come down next to each other, like that. So they're shearing off the meat, and then they're swallowing it whole. So cats don't actually chew like we do. So if you think about it in your mouth, you bite with your front teeth, and then you throw it to your back teeth. These guys, as you're going to see, because they're not having to take down full prey, they're not going to use these teeth today. They're going to go right back to those carnassial teeth and crunch those bones and swallow it whole. Good? Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to feed these guys one at a time. They are super excited. Who do you want to start with?
Oh, let's start with Roman.
Start with Roman. In the wild, lions are the only social cats. The only ones that are live in a group, and of course a group of lions is called a pride. And today, like in the wild, the males would eat first. Roman doesn't always eat first here, I promise. He just happens to be the one that's a little closer. LA, how much is he going to eat today?
He is going to eat about 9 pounds of meat today.
9 pounds of meat, and he's a little agitated that we're here, so we'll keep an eye on him. If he gets real agitated, then we'll back off. But he's just letting us know, excuse me, this is my food, and you may not have any. So if you guys listen carefully, at some point he'll probably crunch those bones for us. Or just swallow it whole, which is what he's doing right now.
Chicken.
Oh good, we have a chicken in there, so he'll get to eat that, and we'll hear that bone crunching. So one difference between big cats and small cats is that big cats will eat lying down. If we were to give him all of his meat, he would go ahead and lay down. Because if you think about it, in the wild, there's not going to be another another predator that's going to come take his food from him. Who would take food from a lion? Well, hyenas. No, I'm just asking. Leopards.
All right, so whole chicken. He's ready.
So he's going to take that away, and now we're going to see him lie down because he says, nobody's going to take that from me. You guys notice he's working on his side teeth there. Crunching through those bones.
Brooke wants to know, how many pounds of food do they eat each day?
All right, LA.
So the amount of food that they're fed, it varies by cat based on a lot of different factors. Their activity level, their age, the species that they are. So Roman is getting 9 pounds today. Sometimes he gets only 6 pounds. And so it just depends on the day. Our biggest tiger is on 18 pounds of meat every day. And then like the cougars are only on about 3 pounds of meat every day. So yeah, it varies greatly.
Excellent. Is that all for Roman?
That's all for Roman.
Sorry, Roman, you're all done. So one thing that you may notice is, one, he still would like some more food, and that's okay. He'll have to wait till tomorrow. But also, these guys self-shift, so we do not feed our animals in the same space because they are food aggressive. So we want to make sure that they're not fighting over the food. Roman and Reina are so good at this that they go ahead and shift themselves apart. We'll show you with the servals, though, that we have to create a barrier for them so that they don't steal each other's food or hurt each other. So this is Rana. Rana is our female lion. And how much food is she getting today?
She's getting about 6 pounds.
She's getting about 6 pounds of meat today. Or about 1 whole chicken's worth. Here they're crunching those bones with those carnassial teeth. And as you notice, each time she gets a piece, she goes ahead and lays down, showing us she's a big cat. I don't know about you, but I certainly would not be taking any food from her. She's going to take that away just a little further to work on it, but she's going to lay down with it and use those carnassial teeth to crunch.
We had a question about what types of other meats do we feed?
What other types of meats do we feed? So we do primarily feed chicken. We'll have hunters that'll bring us deer. So we'll take deer. Occasionally they'll get some red meat as well. Around Thanksgiving, we have wonderful supporters who will bring in whole chickens for them, which they appreciate and love. We've tried fish before, and some of them like fish, and some of them definitely turn their nose up at fish. Here at Carolina Tiger Rescue, we've got some pretty picky eaters, and so chicken seems to be the one constant that they all will consistently eat.
So how much do these guys weigh again?
How much do these guys weigh? I think Roman was around 319, 320 pounds when we last weighed him, and then Reina was about 300 pounds. We always thought that she weighed more, but no, she hides it real well. It must be that mane on him. All right, so these guys are all done. We are gonna walk over and feed our leopard, Anthony. So follow us, follow me, follow us. We're all going. So you may notice as we go that we have extra visitors with us, which are our black vultures. They know where the food is and will follow us. They'll pick up after the cats and pick up after their leftovers. So over here we've got Anthony, our leopard, who is also super excited. He's eating early, which just means there's extra time for naps. So safety is super important here at Carolina Tiger Rescue. LA is going to make sure that when she puts his food down, he's got all 4 paws on the ground, got 4 on the floor, because he can stick his arm a bit up that food chute. We want to make sure that he doesn't get hurt, but also that LA or anybody feeding him doesn't get hurt. So she'll wait until all 4 paws are on the ground. Anthony's food is going to come to him just a little bit differently. He requires a bit of extra enrichment to keep him busy, so we do put his food in boxes, so he's got to work for it. If you think about it in the wild, these guys are going to take down their prey, they're going to hunt, they're going to patrol their territory, so they're staying busy. So one reason we will give extra enrichment for some guys is to help keep them busy, so that they don't get bored. Because you parents may know that a bored kid is a destructive kid. Bored cats are also destructive. So if you notice, he's got his paws on the fence. He's super excited, but he's got to show good leopard manners by putting 4 on the floor. So guys, if our leopard can have good manners, you can at home as well. Oh, he says, wait a minute, I want to work for it. What else you got? So the great thing about Anthony's enclosure, there's a roof on top. So if he chooses he doesn't want to eat right now, that we can just leave it and he'll come back to it later. But again, she's going to wait until all 4 paws are on the ground. She's going to close that food chute for safety purposes. And he went ahead and grabbed that chicken right out of that box. And he's going to take it away. So leopards live in the same areas as lions and hyenas. So they're a little bit more cautious about eating their food. They're going to take it a little further, and in the wild, they'll actually take it up into a tree. Leopards can take down animals 3 times their size, and then they can also take it right up into a tree to keep it safe because they are solitary. So they got to protect it all on their own. If you see, he's putting it side to side to crunch. And shear it down into smaller pieces so he can swallow it. And that bone's going to help give calcium and help clean those teeth. And again, as Ellie said, it's definitely one of those things that more mimics what they would be eating in the wild, which is good for them. And most all of our cats will clean up every little piece.
So we've had a couple questions about where Anthony came from and how old he is.
Where did Anthony come from? So Anthony came from our largest rescue to date. We rescued 16 animals from a roadside zoo in Colorado in 2016. He was living at a facility that had 110 animals on about 4 acres of land. If you guys tuned in yesterday, you met Saber, our white tiger, who also came from that same place. And Anthony, so it's really hard sometimes to tell how old our animals are. When we rescue them from roadside zoos and all, they don't necessarily have the best birth records or medical records. The information that we got said that Anthony was born in the year 2000. And so he, by that date, will be 20 years old in December. So we don't always know the exact day they were born. So if we don't have that date or estimate, we will use the day they came to Carolina Tiger Rescue as their birth date. So if you notice, he took that one a little different place. He is doing a little bit of hiding from us, but pretty sure he knows we are not going to take that food from him.
What do leopards eat in the wild?
In the wild, leopards will take down gazelle and small antelope. They will also occasionally take warthogs or feral hogs. Feral hogs, though, or warthogs are difficult to catch, and so that's not always easy for them. They also are capable of taking down small zebras and other hoof stock along those lines.
Does Anthony have a favorite food?
Does he have a favorite food? So all of our cats, their favorite food is just meat. They love meat. He can get a little picky sometimes. He does take medication in the morning. And he will at times decide to turn his nose up to different things. So he's a little bit of a diva, and that's okay. We love him for it. So he keeps our keepers on their toes, and they will have to try out different meats for him as far as that. But in terms of his whole meal, he definitely just likes chicken or any kind of meat we give him. And if you have a chance while you're watching and are able, we do have a donate button up on our Facebook page. That's going to help us out considerably while we're closed down to the public. It costs us about $80,000 a year to feed our animals and to keep them at a healthy weight and all of that. And of course, that is our number one priority, is to provide them the best life possible. So, yep. So next we're going to move down to see some smaller guys. We're going to check on our 3 serval boys that came from British Columbia. in November, and I'll tell you a little bit more about their story as we walk down. Oh, and I forgot to say, behind the camera we have with us, we have Louise, our communication director, and then on our Facebook camera we have Catherine, who's our curator, who's fantastic and might happen to be our boss. So, you know, talk it up while she's here. So back in November, we rescued 7 servals from British Columbia. These servals had been rescued over the summer from RVs. They were living in somebody's backyard. It was a backyard breeder, and exactly as it sounds, they were breeding these guys to sell the kittens, take the kittens from mom, and sell the kittens, I think upwards of about $8,000 each. In these RVs, they didn't have any natural lights, and they didn't have any great ventilation, so they were standing in their own feces and urine, and no natural light. So luckily the authorities stepped in and closed them down, and we were asked, there were 13, were there 13 total? 13 total servals. The others went to others accredited or sister sanctuaries that we work with, and we got 7 of them. We got 3 boys, these 3 boys here, and we got 4 girls. And if after you see the boys and how they eat, if you think they're bad, at some point we may show you how the girls are, because they're even worse. So these are servals. Servals are native to Africa. They only live on the continent of Africa. In Africa, they're known as the giraffe cats because they have those long legs and long necks. They do look a little like cheetahs, so unfortunately in Africa, some people will hunt them and kill them and sell their pelts as cheetah pelts. But these guys are known for a couple things. First of all, there's massive ears. They have the biggest ears in proportion to their head size of all the cats. If we had ears that size in proportion to our head size, we would have ears the size of dinner plates. Can you imagine having ears the size of dinner plates on your head? Those ears are obviously used for sound, to hear things. They can hear a mouse 6 inches underground and up to a mile away. The other thing they're known for is a really fast paw strike, and we might see a bit of that in just a second when we start to feed. Their paw strike is a 60th of a second. To put that in perspective, you blink in a 1/5 of a second. Their paw strike is faster than you can take a picture, faster than Muhammad Ali could throw a punch, and faster than a king cobra can strike. And what they will actually do with that paw strike is they'll hunt snakes, and they'll whack that snake on the top of its head with that really fast paw strike, give it a big old headache, and then they're able to take it and eat it. They'll stun it and take it and eat it. So our 3 servals here are Mick, Dylan, and Bowie. Here we have Mick. This is Mick in front of us. And what we're going to do for these guys is actually shift them apart because, again, they are food aggressive. These guys will live in the wild on their own, so they don't have to share, and they don't have to share here either. So LA's going to let down a shift gauge. We've got Mick on this side, so he's the only one that's going to eat on this side. And if you hear, we've got our lions oofing in the background. It's a wild morning here at Carolina Tiger Rescue. Sure.
Oh, LA, you got everybody's attention now. Don't you worry.
So just like Anthony, he's got to have 4 on the floor. So Mick, LA, how much is Mick going to get today?
So he's on a size medium. You can probably see these cards here. So the amount that they're fed is about the same size as the actual card. So medium translates roughly to about a pound of meat.
Pound of meat. So he's going to get a pound of meat, and he's got bones in there as well?
Yes.
He's got bones in there.
Thigh, just like the lions did.
Thigh, just like the lions. And he's got to have 4 on the floor. Sometimes we take a little bit of time and have to wait. We have to be patient. And remind him where his paws need to be. And he totally missed that delivery. It's okay, he'll find it. LA, why are you using that stick? Why you got a stick up there?
I don't want my fingers anywhere close to that.
So if that chicken gets stuck in there, she's going to use that stick to push it down so her fingers are nowhere near them. Even though these guys were declawed, the people who had them and were breeding them did declaw them. So unfortunately, we talked about declawing a little bit yesterday with Saber. So we'll look for signs of arthritis as they age. Even though they are declawed, they are still dangerous. They are wild and dangerous animals. Hissing is a part of their just language. And if you saw how, although that wasn't overly aggressive, he was excited about it. I certainly do not condone having one of these guys in your house. So if you notice, Mick took his food into his den box. Small cats are in the wild going to worry about other animals coming and taking their prey. It's a whole lot easier for me to go and take some of LA's pizza versus having to go get it myself. So if she doesn't protect it at lunch, I'm going to take it. Just like these guys, they're going to go hide that food. LA sometimes will go eat in her office so that I don't steal her food.
Sounds like a good idea,
Right? So that's the same thing that he's doing. He's going to go hide from us to make sure that we don't take his food. And then he also has these vultures who would surely love it. But he doesn't have to worry about that because there is a roof on their enclosure. So over here we've got Dylan. Yeah, Dylan on the top of his den box. He is certainly ready. Sometimes it's a little harder to tell our servals apart, but this is Dylan. He is the biggest of all of the three serval boys. And the way I can tell him a different part is if he was to stand up. Are you going to stand all the way up? No. He's got thick black stripes along his front arms or front legs there. So he knows what's up. Ellie, do you want to shift him? So Ellie's going to go over because we've got Bowie and Dylan in the same space. We need to move one of them out. It doesn't matter which one. Bowie typically eats on this side. It doesn't matter, again, where they eat because we can tell them apart and know how much each gets. Looks like Bowie's going to shift today. She's going to drop that shift gate to make sure that Bowie can't come over and get Dylan's food and they don't fight over it. If you see as Dylan standing up, we can tell him apart with those big, thick black stripes on his front legs. He's also the biggest of them, the three boys. And how much is Dylan going to get today?
So he is on a size large, which is about 1.25 pounds.
So he's going to get a little more food than the other two.
Yep. And he's going to get some boneless turkey today.
Excellent. Was it yesterday? Yesterday they got, we'll feed out whole carcass. They got a couple rats yesterday or the day before, which is good for them as well with those bones. And that's something they would naturally eat in the wild. A serval in the wild will eat between 3,000 and 4,000 rodents a year. They're what we call a keystone species. They're so vital to their ecosystem that without them, their ecosystem would kind of be in disarray. So imagine if these servals didn't live there, and a single serval eats about 4,000 rodents a year, which is on average about 12 a day. If my math is right, you maybe should check that math. That's a good math problem for you today. So if they weren't there taking out those rodents would run rampant and just kind of take over all the crops. And so what they're working on to help keep these guys a protected species in Africa is helping farmers understand, hey, you actually want these guys around your farms. They're not going to take anything down larger than themselves, and they're going to help keep the rodent population down. So that is really important for them to keep their what do you call it? Vegetables, gardens.
Crops?
Crops. Can you tell it's live? Crops, that's the word I was looking for. Thanks, guys. Their crops safe from all of those rodents.
We've had a couple of questions about the white tubes coming out of their den boxes and how they handle the cold. And since those go together,
it's almost as if
thought I would
you
pop
were
that.
pairing those questions together for a reason. So these white tubes have an electrical cord coming out of it, and inside the den box there is one or two heating pads that are screwed into the wall. There's like the heating pads that you would get for like puppies. So it's just radiant heat. It doesn't, or not radiant heat, but radiating heat. It just keeps that den box warm. And then also, if you notice, they have straw in there. Straw is a great insulator. So all of our big cats are having their straw taken out as it warms up. Our small cats are going to keep it just a little longer to help them regulate the cold, because even this morning it's a little chilly, although this weekend looks beautiful. So we keep them warm by keeping those den boxes heated for them in the winter. They are native to areas that are a little warmer, but luckily with our moderate climate that we have here, they do just fine. And it's fun to see the little guys high step it in the snow when we get the snow. So we're going to let Dylan finish up, and then we're going to remind him he's still got more. But if you notice, it was a little different how he's eating than Anthony and our two lions. He is, although he's crouched down, he is not laying all the way down. He's ready to go. He's also keeping a close eye on anything around him, as you can see. And he's going to protect that food, because he is not the biggest cat on the block in Africa. So he's got to be mindful of making sure that nobody's going to go take his food. So he's going to take it off. He's going to set himself against the wall so he can keep an eye out, and he's going to tell that vulture who's boss. And he's going to remind those vultures, excuse me, that's not your food. And then we'll head over to Bowie. So these guys will stay shifted for a little bit. We're not going to rush Dylan through his food. We want to make sure that he gets it all. So we'll come back in a little bit and unshift them so that he and the other two have access to their entire enclosure. And then over here, Bowie has been as patient as a serval can be. This is Bowie. You can tell Bowie apart if you guys notice. His back legs are bowed, which is a sign of metabolic bone disease. These guys likely did not get the proper diets because they were sped bred and taken from their moms at birth, so not given the proper nutrients. And so we'll keep a close eye on those back legs. So far, he's not had any issues with them, but it's something that we'll keep an eye on. And then also we can tell, because if you notice, he's got notches in his ears. And so he's... Is he talking?
Oh.
He's got every time I talk, he's got notches in his ears, so that's another way that we can tell them apart as well. And Bowie's gonna get a medium. All right, so he's got boneless also.
Yes, he's also getting boneless turkey, just a little bit less than what we gave Dylan.
He is watching you closely.
We had a question come up about how do we take care of their teeth?
How do we take care of their teeth? That's a great question. So part of feeding that whole carcass diet is going to help them take care of their teeth. So it's just like when you give a bone to a dog and it helps remove that tartar from them. When they are crunching on those bones, it's going to help clean those teeth. And then when they're down for their physicals, we take a good look at their teeth and make sure if there's any tartar that we go ahead and remove that. But that whole carcass diet really helps with that.
Oh, and away we go.
He said, oh, I don't trust you guys. So I'm going to take my food and disappear. We can maybe head back over to Dylan and answer just a couple more questions, and then we'll sign off. Yeah, you can go that way. Any questions while we're walking? Without tripping?
Do you ever go inside the enclosures?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Do we ever go inside the
We
enclosures?
never go inside the enclosures. So we never go inside the enclosures with the animal. We never share the same space. But as you notice with LA shifting the animals apart, we're able to shift them over to different enclosures, or different shifts into their enclosures so we can go in and clean. So Tuesday was a massive cleaning day. We got everybody clean that day. So it's essentially putting them in different rooms. We're shifting everybody to one part of their enclosure, going into the empty spaces and cleaning up, and then getting out, locking back up, shifting them back over so we can clean up the spot that they were already in. But no, we never share spaces with our animal. We never share the same space with our animal because they are wild and dangerous. They may have been around humans their entire lives, but as you can see, they still maintain those instincts, and that makes them extremely dangerous.
Do animals that live together in an enclosure always get along?
No. So when our animals come to, if they notice that he is much more on guard than our lions and leopard were, because he is a small guy and he knows that his food can be taken. So our animals don't always get along. Raja, who we've met a couple times, used to live with another tiger named Kayla. And before Kayla passed away, they did not, they lived together for about 11 years and then decided, I don't really want to live with you anymore. The important thing to remember is these guys, aside from lions, are solitary in the wild. And so instinctually they would be by themselves. So we're always keeping an eye on them and making sure that they have enough space to get away from one another. And if they continually argue with one another, then we will go ahead and move them to different enclosures, which we have had to do in a couple instances. But they are given nice spacious enclosures. They each have their own den box, so if they want to go to their own rooms, they're welcome to do that. And then we also, of course, to prevent any kind of fighting or any kind of competition for food, we do separate them during feeding so that they know that they're going to get what they need and don't have to fight for it.
Ella wants to know if we ever give them a bath.
Do we ever give them a bath? Thankfully, no. So cats, all cats, just like a cat at home, has what we call papillae, or roughness on their tongue, little barbs on their tongue, and they use that to groom themselves. So after they're done, just like my cats at home, once they're done eating, they will go ahead and groom themselves and clean up. So they spend a good portion of each day grooming and keeping themselves clean. So luckily we don't have to do that. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in today. We appreciate you coming and hanging out with us this morning. Of course, if you have questions, give us some time. We'll get through them as quickly as we can on Facebook. If you're able to donate, we would greatly appreciate it. Again, remember, it takes us about $80,000, costs us about $80,000 a year to feed our animals, and we want to give them the best life possible, and we can do that with your help. Tomorrow, tune in. We will be meeting two off-tour animals, Magoo ocelot and ranger bobcat, two species we haven't seen yet. And if you go on in just a little bit on our website, give us a few minutes to get up there and get this video loaded up for you. But there will also be an activity for today to talk about those teeth that these guys have, and an activity that you can do with that, and you can enter to win a prize. If you have not already and want to submit a painting or drawing of your favorite animal, do that by tomorrow. At the end of the day, so that we can go ahead and draw for Raja's part of Raja's Picasso that he made on Monday. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow, and thank you so much for tuning in, and have a good rest of your day. And if you're in North Carolina, it looks like it's going to be beautiful today, so get out and socially distance yourself from everybody so that we can get back to normal. But enjoy the weather, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.